Hi, it's Mason, and I'm doing a tutorial on Rin's headband from Vocaloid. She usually has it on headphones, but for certain versions like Matryoshka, it's just a basic headband. And so that's what I'm doing. It's kind of last minute, and it's just something you can do with mostly scrap things you have around the house. So, here's some stuff you'll need. Some scissors, just an old headband. This one's pretty sturdy. White scrap fabric. This is left over from Candy's Rufus cosplay. Hot glue gun, pins, and just basic sewing stuff. You gotta know how to sew to do this. And we're probably gonna use either stiff felt or craft foam inside of it, but I haven't quite decided yet, so I'll update that when I figure it out. Alright, so the first thing I did is I drew out half the shape. It's folded in half here and pinned, just so the fabric doesn't shift. And I draw out half the shape of the bow, and I do it a little bit bigger than I want the bow to actually be because we gotta sew it. And then we're going to cut that out, and it'll cut, you know, both sides. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So now I have this big shape here, and I'm gonna iron it so it doesn't have that crease anymore. And I'm gonna lay it all out on the rest of my fabric, and I'm going to trace it and cut it out again, so I'll have two of the same thing. So I cheated even on something extremely easy, and I didn't even trace it, I just cut along after I pinned it. So now there's two of these together. You can go ahead and leave them pinned because we're going to be sewing these together. And what you want to do is you're going to sew all the way around, kind of close to the edge, and then you're going to leave like a space about like this big somewhere in the middle of the shape, like as close to the middle as you can, because that's how we're going to turn it right side out. Totally forgot, so you don't have to make 2 trips to your sewing room, or if you even have a sewing room. I know I do, and it's all the way upstairs, and I'm lazy, so I want to get everything done at once. So we're going to make these 2 little rectangles. They're, you know, about 3 finger spaces apart, and not that big, and just make them the same size, basically. If they're not perfect, it really doesn't matter. And we're going to sew both sides of these together, but leave the ends open. Okay, so the sewing's done. I actually made a mark right here in the middle that completely blends in with the ironing board, but fold it in half and mark the exact middle so that I could get the opening pretty much directly in the middle. Okay, I trimmed the edges of this thing so that it's a little bit smaller, and whenever we turn it right side out, it'll be easier. So now I'm just going to turn everything right side out, but make sure for things with corners, you clip on the corners close to the stitching so it doesn't look weird. So just do that. They're turned right side out, so now you want to iron them so they don't look all puffy and weird. And when you do that, you want to press this opening like inside so that it'll be easier to sew later. You can also press these inside. Okay, it's ironed mostly flat. I forgot how much this fabric hates to be ironed whenever I made Rufus. Anyway, so the intention is to squish this down the middle and wrap this dilly-gig around it and either glue or sew it on. So, the thing is, it kind of flops and it wilts, and Rin's is all poofy. So we're going to go play with either stiff felt or craft foam and put a layer of that inside of it to make it stay up. Okay, I'm not quite sure if I can explain what the hell I just did, but I don't have any stiff felt. Well, I do, but it's like dark brown, which is like the most useless color for me right now. I found some yellow craft foam left over from making my male Fluttershy wings. So, basically, first I traced the shape of the bow onto here, and then I found the exact middle again and marked it by folding it. And then I kind of went inside of it and traced along the inside line and tapered it up to the center line, so it looks like that. So I then folded it in half and cut off any excess to make sure the sides were even. And now I have this mustache. After much cursing and annoyance, I got the thing inside. And it gives it a slight yellow tone, but it doesn't matter because they're the yellow twins. So, I mean, whenever it's cinched together, it's not as noticeable. But look, it is stiff. And that's what we wanted. So now we're going to sew up this and then wrap this around here and make the actual bow and make it stay together. To make things a little easier on myself, I squinched it together. I just made up a word. And with hand sewing, I just kind of like sewed it in place so it won't move right through the craft foam. So that's all stuck together now, and now we're just going to wrap this bit around the center and hot glue it. So the bow itself is now done. I just hot glued this piece around, folded it in the back, and tried to align it with the seam that I sewed. So that part's done. Now we get to cover the headband with fabric. Since my headband was gray and my craft foam is yellow, it'll probably look kind of weird. So I decided to go ahead and paint this headband just on the outer part yellow. I might do another layer. And if you can, it'd be best to get white craft foam and a white headband just to make your life a little easier. But if you can't, well, making use of what you have, and that's what I'm doing. Since I used acrylic paint on my headband, I used a clear acrylic coating, like a clear varnish of sorts that's waterproof, so it will make the paint stay on in case the headband gets slightly wet. The paint doesn't leak through and completely ruin your headband. So if you don't have the white headband and you're doing what I'm doing, I suggest putting a coating on it, probably a few layers. Is that a bug? So I have more excess material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the very tip of the headband, just right here, the part that goes behind your ear, and I'm going to lay it on here, and then I'm going to slowly roll it all the way to the side. I'm going to put more hot glue on the other end and then press it down there. That way the hot glue doesn't ruin your headband and make it look gross, so it'll only be in the spots that are behind your ears. So now I have the fabric glued on that end and the other end. So now I just get to cut off the excess and leave about an inch on either side to tuck underneath the headband. And as you can see, it doesn't affect the rest of the headband if you only have the glue right there. So this is the part where you'll probably inevitably burn the crap out of your hands, like I probably will. What you're going to be doing is tucking this under and gluing this underneath the headband, because the underneath side doesn't matter. And first I'd recommend doing this part and then doing the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see how many injuries I gain. Alright, so it's all done. Basically, any fraying, I just took the hot glue and smushed it down like that. So yeah, this is the finished headband. Now what we're going to do is basically just glue the bow in the center of the headband at the top, just at the, not in the middle. And that's it, and it's done.